Well, in 20 years, my clients have lots of success stories, and so those become my success stories. If I were to highlight three very different scenarios, that would show you the spectrum of success in different environments. So one, in a coaching relationship, I worked with a medical clinic where there was a physician who was spectacular technically. So his technical competence was bar none, if you will. And his interpersonal relationships and his patient engagement was awful. So the doctor was in, but the doctor was really out. So I was brought in to partner with this particular physician to help them with their patient engagement. And that meant that I needed to shadow this physician to see real time what was going on, to determine, again, what were the physician's strengths and where they could improve. Now, it may not be surprising to you that this particular individual wasn't the least bit interested in this process, but the clinic that he was employed by knew how important it was to maximize patient engagement and to minimize patient lawsuits. And so those were the outcomes that we were looking for. Fortunately, we bonded during this process. And even though he was resistant to it in the beginning, by me being able to observe him in action versus talk about hypothetical scenarios, I was able to identify what his strengths were and where he could improve to be better in patient engagement. And by the end of that, he said to me, in total confidence, because he said he'd deny it if I ever repeated it, he said, I have to tell you, I not only enjoyed this, but I learned so much from you that will make me a better doctor. So that's an amazing success story in regards to coaching with one individual. Another success story in working with a small team, this was an association, a nonprofit organization, if you will, and they had been working on a process for close to 18 months in attempting to reorganize and restructure nationwide. And in 18 months, they accomplished very little. They were spinning their wheels. They were very frustrated. Smart about their organization, very competent people, but not equipped to be able to guide themselves strategically in what they were attempting to accomplish. So in 4 meetings over an 8-week period of time, we were able to do what they couldn't do in 18 months. And we still tapped into their expertise. We tapped into them being the resident experts of their organization. And the advantage was that they had someone to facilitate those meetings that could move them throughout that process. And the third example is an organization that I've had the benefit of partnering with for 18 years, which sometimes is a little unheard of in consulting because we're really supposed to be working ourselves out of jobs and helping people be successful. But in this particular case, I started working with this organization 17, 18 years ago and developed a management development program for them, which all managers in the organization, whether from promoted within, where all managers in the organization, whether they were promoted from within or hired from the outside, attended the series that I designed, developed, and facilitated on management development. So everything that they needed to know to be a manager within this organization. And obviously the materials were customized and the presentations were specific to this organization. So the vice president of the organization says to this day that I am the one person in the organization that has met and knows each and every one of their managers because they've been through our workshop series. 17 years ago, it was a company of 200, and it's grown to a company of 8,000. So that gives you some idea of the scope of that partnership, and it's been fantastic.